right, let's dive into one of your deals here, Goucher. First, I guess, tell us about you, just in case people don't know who you are, where you come from. Just quick 30 seconds. I know you don't like talking about yourself, but please do it for us.
Well, Greg and Cami Goucher, and we are from Northern Ohio, where there's never any sun. And we have 5 kids. We're a blended family, and we have been doing this for 3 years. And we both left our jobs and started doing this full time about 12 months, at the 12-month mark, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, correct.
Well, living proof. If you want to leave your job, not only one job but 2 jobs.
Yes.
Love it. All right, let's talk about this deal.
Right on. So this particular property is we purchased it on a subject to. This source was an expired. And
2 is just in case people weren't here this morning.
yes, sir. So we actually are purchasing this home and as basically subject to the existing loan. So there is an underlying mortgage on this, but the deed is transferring in our name, which is a beautiful thing.
And the mortgage remains in the seller's name.
Yes, sir. You got
awesome. Okay. What was the purchase price?
Yeah. Purchase price was
You didn't even put it on there.
I've got it on there. It's 246.9.
246.9 from the seller, right?
Yes, correct.
I think it's less than that, but okay.
Hey. We're just going to stick to what Greg
Okay.
has. This is
Exactly.
Greg's moment.
Exactly.
Before we dive further, what was the motivation? Why would somebody sell you a house and let the mortgage stay on their name?
Good.
Well, I think they spent too much time together during COVID, and so they needed to part ways, and they were getting a divorce.
Oh, one of those.
Yeah, one of those. But and more to that is the fact that they actually were in arrears, and there was no equity. They also understood that if they were going to sell it traditionally, they were going to have to come to the table with money. And so that was also an issue. And the simple fact that there was definitely some cosmetic needs to this home. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So is it as far to say it was a handyman special or just a little bit of cosmetic?
I would just say at most maybe 15 grand. I mean, more cosmetic, but it's a larger home.
Yeah.
So, that's probably the amount I would put on it.
New carpet, paint,
That
things
type
like
of
that.
thing.
Mhm.
Okay. So you got mortgage. What was the mortgage?
Yeah. So the mortgage, that's one thing about it. When we took it on, it was actually $21.80 a month, but they went through a loan mod and were approved, and it was reduced to $18.51.
Now, was that like common knowledge of I mean, did you have that common knowledge to say, oh, they're about to go through a loan mod, we're going to get more money if we buy this house?
We knew that it was going to be happening. We just weren't sure. But in our experience, because we've had another property that went through this, and mortgage is usually less than what it currently was sitting at.
Okay.
And so we just anticipated that was going to be the case. However, on the marketing side, I didn't put all my eggs in that basket just in case, just to make sure we covered what we needed to cover for the mortgage.
Right.
Got it. How much was the mortgage balance?
Yeah. So the actual mortgage balance was $214,000.
214.
Mhm.
Okay. And then how much were the arrears?
The arrears at that time were a little over $8,000.
Okay. Based on what I'm seeing here, you got 214 for the mortgage and 8,000 for arrears. So you got like 224 or 222.
222. Mm-hmm.
How do we arrive at the 246.9?
Because it's not right.
Oh,
I'm telling you, it was less than that. We
Okay.
paid less than that. It was
Okay.
it was two. I want to say it was 228.
Okay.
oh yeah. I'm sorry. The purchase price. Yeah, she's right. Yeah.
All right.
I was thinking what we
228
sold
is
it
what,
to.
all
That's
right.
my
Let's
bad.
take a backtrack here.
There we
This
go.
is
Bought
why
it
I'm
for
here.
228.
It
All
does
right.
say on the chat that you look like a couple in therapy, by the way. So
We are in
That's why they
therapy
call
all
me
day
doctor.
long.
It is.
All
No,
right.
the purchase price we actually did buy it for 212. To be honest with you.
Wait, what? Can
No,
we-
teasing you. I'm just teasing.
All right.
Just see if you'll listen
Jesus.
instantly.
All right. So
my
we don't
gosh,
confuse
stop
everybody.
No,
confusing
no, no,
everyone.
no. Purchase price.
After future brainstorming off air, we discovered that it's 228 was the purchase price. The rears were $8,000. The mortgage balance was 214, and the monthly payment is 1851. Now that everybody's caught up to speed,
That is correct.
thank you, Gouchers.
Yes, sir.
All right, we went ahead and we sold this for how much?
349.9.
How did you arrive at 349.9 when you have a house that couldn't sell in the traditional market, that was in arrears? How could you possibly arrive at 349?
We were able to purchase this property under the market value. This is exactly what I was talking about yesterday. If you are able to get a property under market value, your markup on the property is going to be much larger than if you purchase the property at market value. So what I did was actually that area, the appreciation rate, even outside of COVID, is larger than our typical 6% per year. We're talking more like 8 to 9%. So I was able to push that a little, out. And what I did is that actually that price, if you would do that calculation, was around 360. But
Right.
because the house needed some work, I really felt more comfortable coming down to the 349.9 mark. And
Got it.
I never got kickback on the price. So
Example
that's
of
where we-
buy it right,
Yeah,
solve the
yeah.
challenge, and you can make this is gonna be a good deal. I can already see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
All right. Awesome. All right. And what's the monthly that
From
you
the-
sold it for? From the
yeah.
buyer?
So the total monthly is $23.89.
Okay. 2389. Because it's a sub 2, I'm guessing there's no end date.
That is correct.
All right. So you can give it to your children. Congratulations.
We can.
Mhm.
Love. All right. So let's talk about the paydays here.
So
What was number one?
20,000.
20,000. Is that all up front or is that
Yep.
spread over time?
It's all up front. I have a plan, and I won't go into it, but I have a plan. We're going to get that higher so we can owner finance it, but we
Ooh.
have that dating period for 1 year, like I normally do.
All right. We'll have to save that for another day.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. We'll talk about it. So you got payday 1, 20,000, payday 2.
Payday 2, with a monthly cash of 538, comes out to 64,500
What did you, 538 time?
Okay,
How long did you
times
put the
120
agreement?
months. Times
120.
120 months. Mhm.
Okay. So we're doing it based on a 10-year
10-year
term
deal.
because the idea is that you're going
Yes.
to owner finance this.
Yes.
You got it.
And that's 64.
That's
Yes.
right. 64.5.
All right, so now we have to talk about it. So because you bought it sub 2, because they bought it sub 2, and what deal number was this for you? Do you know?
Number 14.
14. Okay. The reason why I was asking is because it's not that you, unless you are part of the community, it's not that you're going to know to be able to structure and get some of these deals right away on your first deal. I wouldn't expect that the way you bought this to be your first deal.
Yeah, no.
Because you thought through many different factors that come into play that would show me that you have advanced knowledge now. I'm just saying that. So if you're looking at this and you're saying, well, how does all these pieces work? Or how are they now going to owner finance? We're going to show you, we're going to tell you, but we'll walk you through this process. You don't have to understand all of the dynamics today when you're watching this deal. Okay. So you bought it on sub 2. There's no end date. You now hold title. Mortgage remains in the seller's name, so we keep the mortgage in place. But because there's no end date, you now have the ability to utilize what we would call a wrap mortgage or a contract for deed to be able to sell this property to an end buyer because you're creating new paperwork, new mortgage, and you can go ahead and sell it and finance this deal.
Correct.
That's correct.
And how likely is it that you're going to do this? Like, how good do you feel stepping in day one? I know Nick would say, and Nick's off camera staring at me. I know Nick would say, let's just see how they do. Let's take it one step at a time. But I'm curious how likely you feel you're going to do this.
I feel really good about these buyers. They are self-employed, And within the 5 hours, that's their paperwork were at the house with painters and contractor, measuring for new flooring. And so they really, they know that they cannot get financing right now because of where their credit's sitting and where their tax returns are, needing to be at a certain level for a self-employed individual. So I really like them, but I also just have that backup plan, that if they don't work, but if they do work, then I think it would be a great fit for them. So they don't have to go through all the hassle of trying to get a mortgage through a lender.
Love it. Okay. Principal pay down.
Principal pay down is $456 a month. We out of 120 months is $54,700.
54,700. Okay. You've already collected 20K.
Correct.
What's the additional premium?
The additional premium approximately $120,000.
$120,000 in additional premium. So give me these totals.
So you got
If it goes 10 years, because the truth is this may go a lot longer. It could be maybe a little shorter, but we'll see, right?
yes, exactly. So you got 84, 200, $260,000 approximately.
260K deal. I asked you what deal number it was because and when did you start with us?
3 years
3 years
ago.
ago.
Okay. So 3 years later, I want you to put yourself in this position right now. You're sitting here. It's the first event you've ever been to. And you're saying, all right, how do I get from where they are or where I currently am to where Greg and Cami are? And is the hard work, the day in and day out obsession and relentlessness to first get out of their job, then spending the next 2 years of dedicating themselves to this business. And then, of course, they were able to pay it forward to start working with students. And in my opinion, the best way to ever learn anything is to teach somebody. So then they went ahead and started teaching people how to do these deals. And now 3 years later, they're starting to do $250,000 deals. How many of these deals do you need to do in order to reach the life of your dreams? How many of these deals does it take for you to get into retirement? This is possible, 100% possible. And I think this deal, I tell me if I'm wrong, but I think this deal pushes you guys over the $1 million mark in paydays.
That is correct.
Look at that smile. That's how it works for us. That smile. I love it. All right. We got 7 minutes. Takeaway or questions? We can put Greg and Cami on the spot right now. You got two masters at this now. Hit them with some questions. I'd like to see him squirm a bit.
I have a question very quickly. This is Michelle. I know y'all were talking about wealth stacking and some of the associate calls. Is the fact that they're switching from the subject to owner financing a wealth stacking tactic in regards to these subject to deals?
If Chris is here, I'm going to let him answer that because I think that's like his favorite thing to say. I don't know if he's here.
Second favorite.
Second favorite. What's your first favorite?
I don't know. I just had to say second. Wealth stacking. Wealth stacking just refers to taking a deal and changing its terms from 2 to 5 to 10 or 20 years. It doesn't matter in what direction, but it really has to do with extending terms. And then there's all kinds of ways to do that. I don't know if I'm answering that, Zach, and Michelle.
I think you are because the difference is, and we'd have to look at this, but the difference is going to be of about, let's say 60 to 72 months because they're going to reroute this. So original sandwich, let's say on this deal.
Which is how the buyer currently is set up under contract.
How long of a term is it?
24 months.
Okay. So currently the buyer is in a sandwich or at least purchase agreement. It's not a sandwich for them. At least purchase agreement for 24 months. Now, Greg, Cami, I don't know if you have the numbers for 24 months.
No.
Okay, but it's not 200. It's not $250,000. My guess is this is going to probably be, if it was regular 70, it probably is somewhere between 40 to 60K.
Right.
This is the original agreement that they have with the buyers. But because they're switching now from a lease purchase to owner financing, they're drastically changing the numbers on this deal to 250K.
Then yes, Michelle, 100%. Well, one of many well-stacked techniques, and Greg and Cami are tuned up enough to know they could probably do that again on the same deal several times if they want. Pretty cool.
We need to. If the buyer defaults, then which I don't want them to, that's not my goal. But if they do for any reason, we would start the process all over again.
Well, okay, so good point. So even if they don't, though, I'm just for Michelle's sake to think outside the box again. Even if they don't, could the terms change with them? Could they owner finance them? Like, there's all kinds of things that could happen. It's another whole seminar, but there's all kinds of things that could happen on this to extend it, to make it more profitable.
Common practice, changing the deal's terms, common practice inside our community. Tie it up, whether it's on the buyer side or the seller side, go through the process, know, like, and trust the parties involved, change the agreement. Because at the beginning of the day, especially those that are just getting started, here, you're going to start more than likely, unless you join our community, you step into 50 to 60 years worth of real estate experience, you're going to start with sandwich leases because it's the easiest way to get involved. It's the easiest way to control a piece of real estate. It's the most risk-averse aspect. It's controlling the deal. And then eventually you'll step into ownership. But that's, so unless you're, have that advanced technique behind you or with you and have somebody be able to look over your shoulder, changing that deal from a sandwich to owner financing is more advanced unless, again, you're a part of the community. You're stepping into that knowledge right away.
And just so you know, our first 9 deals were all sandwich leases, and our 10th deal was an AO. So this was not even one of our first 10. And there's no way we could have, been able to do that in our brains. We had to learn and grow and get to that point.
And by the way, this is how I had a great chat with Brian Sweet over break. And this is how Brian and everybody, through wealth stacking and other methods, this is how you create the cash flow that's not contingent upon you being, at the wheel all the time. This is how you create the passive. That's why we call it wealth stacking. This is it right here. You can do this over and over and over.
Well, we'll take one more. One more question.
Michael.
Yeah, who is it?
It's Michael here.
Hey, Michael.
Hey.
Hello, Michael.
Hey, what's the difference between, maybe you already covered this, I didn't think I heard it. What's the difference between your interest rate on the loan and then also the interest rate on the contract? Did we cover that already?
No. Do you know the interest rate on the loan? On the top of your head?
I think it was 3.125.
Yeah, I was.
Okay, so
it's a great interest rate.
3.125. Well, you haven't made it there yet, Mike. They have not decided to switch from a sandwich lease to owner financing, or a lease purchase to owner financing.
Got it.
I don't know. We don't know what the interest rate they're going to offer them is yet.
But that's also another thing, right? You get a quicker interest or quicker principal pay down on the original loan versus your contract, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yep.
That's an awesome way to build it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zach,
Michael,
as usual, we're assuming everybody knows everything, and the sandwich lease question came up real simple. The sandwich that you can only not do in Texas, sandwich just means, David, you got a buyer, you got a seller. You're controlling the property by getting on title, clouding title, and you're in the middle. You're the meat, or if you're a vegetarian, you're the vegetables in the sandwich. You got the bread is the buyer and the seller.